Hi, I'm Paul Friedman. I'm the founder of the Marriage Foundation. Hopefully you're already a subscriber, but if not, you should subscribe because this is the place to come to where you learn the truth about marriage, beginning with the reality that marriage is intended to produce happiness and love in such a measure that you've never experienced before, and everyone else has it wrong. If they want to work on problems, what you really want to do is you want to strive for those gifts of marriage. And this topic is a particularly good topic because it allows me to get into some things about marriage that are important. And this topic is really important. It's what to do if I am not happy with my husband. So we're going to dive right into this, but we are going to start with an understanding of what creates happiness. Because you say, I'm not happy with my husband. And you could probably cite some reasons. But what's really happening is that when you first got married, let's go back further. When you first met your husband, and I don't care whether it was when you were a little kid, whether you were high school sweethearts, whether you met on a dating site, it makes no difference. There are no coincidences in this world. Everything, the world has a mechanical component. Everything is structured. Now it's behind the scenes, but it's still structured. What happened was you met your husband and you felt drawn to him because he's your soulmate. And what the world calls infatuation is not infatuation at all. Infatuation is a word that applies to like getting a new car. You're so excited about it, but it wears away. No, this is different. When you met your husband and he met you, because it's both of you, there was this thrill of coming back together. Now, part of that is you come back together so you can work out some karma, but that's not what's important about the marriage. What's important about the marriage is you met your soulmate, the person with whom you could spend the rest of your life nurturing happiness, nurturing love, cultivating the devotion that you should have. We don't learn about marriage. No one teaches us about marriage. And when we go to these videos, except for the Marriage Foundation, we don't learn about marriage. We learn about a particular problem, an issue, a phobia, narcissism, which is all nonsense. It really is. If you're not happy with your marriage, with your husband, you're not happy within yourself. You know, I could tell you a story. This is a great story because it really illustrates this. Over the years, I've made it my business to find saints, literally, and there are saints. And some are Catholic, some are Christian, some are Jewish, some are Muslim. There are saints in every religion and in no religions. These are the ones who have strived to know God. And there are those who have come close. They're above the rest of us. They're in joy all the time. And so I invited there one particular one who I used to visit in Arizona from my home in Southern California. And I invited a friend of mine, very successful attorney, one of the top litigating attorneys in the whole country at the time. And I said, Mike, you know, come with me. I'm going to visit brother, and let's go. And so what happened was he came, and we're driving around, and we stopped at what had to be one of the most ugly rest stops I've ever seen. There was trash everywhere. People just abused it. The scenery around it, because it was Arizona, was really beautiful, but the rest stop itself was ugly. And we get out of the car, and Brother went to do his business, and Mike and I are standing there, and Mike goes, "Wow, Paul, this is so beautiful." And he was just filled with this really intense appreciation. And I'm looking around, I'm seeing potato chip bags on the ground and just trash everywhere and junker cars. It was a junkyard. And I went, "Mike, what you're doing is you're feeling this vibe from Brother. And that's why you're seeing everything through those eyes." And he stepped back for a minute, but he didn't get it. But you've had that experience where you have felt so happy that you could walk anywhere, go through anything, and you're happy. And so if you had that state of consciousness of happiness, which is under your control, then you would be happy with your husband. You wouldn't criticize him, condemn him, or find his faults to be more than you could handle. You would still love him. You see, this is one of the secrets of marriage that they don't tell us because they don't know. It's also a secret of life. You know, we learn going through life at best that we have a soul. But we don't have a soul. And you're waiting for what? No, you are a soul. We are a soul. What we have is a mind and a body. And so we have to be aligned with our true self. But what happens is we become highly distracted by our mind's input into our lives. And our mind is inputting into our lives based on our body's drive to survive. Think about this. This is true. And everything I've said so far is scientific. I'm going to illustrate it. Your body is comprised of trillions of cells, right? And you know that the definition of life, basically, is self-preservation. If something has a consciousness, an intelligence, that is all about self-preservation, it could be the single-cell amoeba. It's alive. That's how we know. So you collect these cells together like you do in a plant, and collectively that plant wants to survive. Insects want to survive. Mice want to survive, right? And they put survival ahead of everything else. So there becomes this individual cell. All of these individual cells collectively have an intelligence. They can't think, but they have an intelligence, and it's all geared towards self-preservation, towards survival. Now, the body, your body, is tied to your mind. When we come into this world, we're a soul. We possess our mind, we possess our body, but the mind is influenced, and this is where we come in. The mind is influenced primarily by our body, to the point of where we have given up our free will to our body's drive to survive, mitigated somewhat with morality and a little bit of wisdom, but mostly it's about survival, isn't it? You got to have a job, you got to have a place to live, you got to have a car to get around in. It's survival. All of this is survival. And so what happens is we have given up this state of consciousness of the soul, of ourselves. And what does that state of consciousness look like? The soul, we know from every scripture that we are made in God's image. Basically, all religions agree on that. What is God's image? Is it brown hair like mine? Oops. Is it feet arms, legs. No, it is the soul. The soul is what's created in God's image. And what is the soul look like? The soul looks like ever new joy, ever increasing love, universal wisdom and consciousness. That's what you are as a soul. But what happens? We're not taught. It's no one's fault. I'm not blaming society. I'm not blaming your teachers, and I'm not blaming your parents. It's nobody's fault. It's just the way things are right now in the world, that we don't learn about ourselves. No one says to you when you're a little kid, did you know that you're a soul? And if you close your eyes, you know, in one place it says, be still and know that I am God. I don't know whether it's in Psalms or the New Testament or where it is, but be still and know that I, the soul, am God. God is all love. It's not sacrilegious to say it in that way, because when you set aside the body, when you still it, when you set aside the mind and you still it, you feel joy coming up. I know that to be true because I've been meditating since 1972. Wow, that's a long time. And I don't meditate for a couple of minutes. It's a passion of mine to meditate all the time. And what happens is you rise above the clutter of the mind, and then you feel a natural happiness. And you lose your attachment to judgments of the mind, which are based on survival. Oh, this is dangerous. This is an opportunity. That all is way down here, and you're elevated. You're way up here. So you're happy. So you're happy with everybody. You know, it's always interesting when I get pulled over by a policeman for how I drive, because I am a fast driver, and I like to get where I'm going, and I enjoy driving. And every time I'm pulled over, I don't have an attitude towards the policeman. So I smile. It's kind of disarming to them, and I enjoy it, and I communicate with them. I get to know them. Some are not nice people, but most are very receptive, and we end up with a good conversation. Whether I get a ticket or not, it doesn't really make any difference, because I'm happy. And you're not happy with your husband, your soulmate. And you go, what do I do if I'm not happy with my husband? And the answer is to become happy. Become happy yourself. Instead of looking at him with judgment, looking at him with a critical eye, looking at his flaws, looking how what he might have done has affected you or affected the kids or affected your parents or whatever. Look at him as your soulmate. Get back into that place where you were when you met. This thrill of being with your soulmate. You know, my definition of marriage is very interesting. You look up define marriage. You Google it or look at a dictionary, and it's all mundane. It's useless stuff. But I'll tell you, my definition is that it's an individual spiritual path that you take with your soulmate. Why is it a spiritual path? Don't be afraid of that word. Don't think we're selling religion. Spiritual is love. What could be more spiritual than love? It is absolutely tangible. You've experienced it at the deepest levels until your mind jumps in and starts talking about something else, because the mind can't handle love. The mind is merely a machine. It's all it is. It's just a machine. It sees things, it translates what your eyes are seeing, what your ears are hearing, then it filters it, it applies its memories to what this means and all of that. It's taken over your life. And you need to take it back. So one of the things that's missing in marital education, it's a very important thing, and it's not missing in the education you get from the Marriage Foundation. If you're struggling with your marriage and you take the course for women, this is the first place we go, where you learn how to master your mind. Wow, that's not about marriage. Oh, yes, it is. Because it's about you. You're half of the marriage. How could it not be an important part of marriage to master your mind? And you master your mind so that your heart, you, the soul, can find expression within your marriage. Are you starting to see how this is very different than all of the stuff out there? I think the time is right. I know the time is right for this kind of thing because we have over 30,000 subscribers, and that's now. Maybe when you see this a year from now, we'll have 60,000 or 70,000 subscribers. It's growing every day because people are thirsty for this knowledge. Because as a human being, the number one desire that all of us have, and it's a good desire, is for happiness. It's our number one desire. And the number one way to have happiness is by living in love. Did you hear how I put that? Living in love. Why do they even use that expression? I'm in love. Right? Because love is infinite. Love is spiritual. Love is it. It's everything. It's the ultimate panacea. It covers all the bases. It's where it's at. Love. Now, we can't just turn a switch because we are so caught up in our lives, in our mundane lives, in our expressions, in all of the entanglements of the mundane life. And you have to learn how to do it. That's why I've written some books. That's why we're doing these videos. That's why we have the courses. It's very important. But the benefits are amazing. They're staggering. Look at it. Look at the testimonials we have on our website. It's amazing. And it's for you. It's for you. You deserve. I am a firm believer in God's love. I am a firm believer. I had a friend. I still have a friend. I guess I haven't seen him in a while. I used to call him Joe the Baptist. I met him at a Starbucks. And he was the minister in charge, since retired, of one of the big Baptist churches in the community where I lived. And we started talking at a Starbucks and we became friends. And I said, you know, Joe, I love every religion, but I got to tell you, there's something about the Baptist religion, Southern Baptist, that I don't quite get. And he goes, I know what you're going to say. Because he was a gentle guy. He's a good guy. And I said, yeah, how does the Father who loves us, how could a Father put us in eternal damnation? Eternal. That means forever. Doesn't work in my head. He goes, I'm with you. God is a loving God. We have a consciousness of happiness. We know we can be happy. We also have free will. Wow, you can do anything you choose. Now, if you do some things that are counter-beneficial, you're going to create karma and you'll have to pay for it, and you may have to deal with that even as you're moving forward. It's okay. It'll pass. But you have free will and volition. So you can institute those things in a methodical process that will turn your life into a living heaven. Turn your marriage into a living heaven. Isn't it logical, reasonable? Sure it is. Been doing this for a very long time, over 20 years. So many successes with our programs. Now, speaking of which, we have a new program that's coming. And the Marriage Foundation is a nonprofit, but we still have our partners, our board, and all that. And I was speaking to the one who is in charge of the website and what we're doing. And in 4 weeks, I've talked about this before, but we're going to start training individuals, many of you who are already therapists. You're already marriage coaches or relationship coaches, or you're clergy, or you work within your church to help those who are struggling in their marriage. And we're going to train you with all the TMF stuff, all of it. And it's a lot of work. I've begun working on it, and the website is soon going to have a landing page where you could sign up before it's even ready, but you'll start getting material as you go. Because the first part is, if you do sign up, if you do want to be a TMF certified counselor, and we want you to be, we're going to have a strong recruiting program. We're going to advertise for you. We're going to become a force. And everyone has to start with the course. It's just part of it, because it includes the SO technique, which I would like, I always have a struggle with this. I want to say I invented it. But the truth is, it came to me. And we all know where it came from. And the SO technique is just absolutely an amazing technique. It's used for controlling the mind. SEW, stop, evaluate, act with wisdom. And it has many layers, and it's amazing. And so we want to start having counselors on the ground. So when people have a little trouble with their marriage isn't in disaster phase, but they're just having problems, they want to get straightened out, and they can go to you as a counselor and get the help that works. Because our stuff works. Everything is methodical, it's scientific, it's a process-oriented, based in principles, practices, philosophies, and purposes. It's just covers the chart. So if you're interested, stay tuned for that. You could even let us know. Go to the website and drop a note to customer support, and they'll let you know when it's ready for you to sign up, or at least look at it. So that's it. Hopefully you've already subscribed. I hope you like this video, and I hope to see you again. In the meantime, God bless you, and take care.